Hey there, welcome to a new week of the Bernie Miklasz Show here on STL Sports Central. Presented by DraftKings, the crown is yours. It is the Bernie Show, and I'm Bernie Miklasz, and I've been writing and talking about St. Louis area sports since 1985. I do 5 videos here, and I write 5 columns here each week on STL Sports Central. You can also catch me frequently on KMOX FM and AM. Hit that like button underneath the video, and please subscribe to our STL Sports Central YouTube channel. Thank you. Today's topic: don't compare the Blues and the Cardinals unless you're willing to hold the Blues accountable the way you hold the Cardinals accountable. And yeah, I think there's a discrepancy. And later on, that's why you got to hang with me here, I'm going to address this question. If the Blues have to blow this thing up and start over, do they have the right people in place to do that? I understand the frustration that festers in our sports town these days. The Blues are off to a terrible start in their new season, and the flop is a bad one because the expectations were pretty high. And no one has any answers. That applies to the players, the coaches, Jim Montgomery, general manager Doug Armstrong. No answers at all. In 2025, the Cardinals went 78-84 and failed to make the postseason for a third consecutive year. They have entered a moderate, if methodical, rebuilding phase. The Cardinals haven't won a postseason round since 2019, the same year the Blues won the Stanley Cup. So the Blues know what that feels like. Actually, when we do compare these two teams, they have a couple things in common. Since capturing the elusive Stanley Cup, the Blues have been victorious in only one postseason series. Between them, since the start of the 2020 sports cycle, the Blues and the Cardinals have competed in a combined 7 postseason events. That includes 2 baseball wildcard games, and they have lost 6 out of the 7. Still, there are a few things, when we talk about comparisons, there are a few things that bug me in comparing or contrasting the Blues and the Cardinals. The perception is that the Blues are trying to win. The Cardinals are viewed as a franchise. They're not committed to winning, which is why disillusioned fans have been staying away from Busch Stadium. And the Cardinals ranked 19th in home attendance this past season, which is really embarrassing. But I'm not sure I buy into the validity of the perceptions as much as others do. The Cardinals ownership deserves criticism for allowing a successful on-field product to fade. There was no excuse for that, which is why Chairman Bill DeWitt Jr. belatedly hired Chaim Bloom to repair and rebuild all phases of this baseball operation, including the minor leagues and player development and international scouting, all those things. DeWitt has a tremendous overall record in his 30 years of ownership, but he let the Cardinals slip into a lengthy downturn simply because he stayed too long with John Mozeliak as the head of the baseball department. It is also true that, as fans have noted, obviously the payroll has gone down as recently as 2021. The Cardinals had the 10th highest payroll among the 30 major league franchises, but in 2025, they slid all the way down to 19th in the payroll rankings. Okay, but when the Cardinals have invested enough in payroll, they haven't gotten sufficient results because of the so many mistakes they've made in personnel, including payroll decisions. It isn't just about payroll size and that's the end of the story. No, there's a hell of a lot more to it than that. It's how you handle the payroll, or in the Cardinals' case, how you mishandle the payroll. And speaking of that, if the Blues are so committed to winning and they're spending money, then why are they in such pathetic shape 19 games into this new season? If you want to give the Blues credit for trying to win, okay, well, does it matter if they fail to win? When we're throwing all this credit around, what about if they're one of the worst teams in the league? Doesn't that kind of take away from the compliment, the praise? They're trying to win. Well, they're failing to win. And does it matter that you've tried to win, but you're failing to win in part, large part, because you've overspent on underachieving players? Well, at least it helps with the fans because, again, the perception game. Because the fans believe ownership cares to make the effort to put a successful hockey team on the ice. It adds credibility, and from that standpoint, the Blues have more cred than the Cardinals. I just don't know if that's entirely warranted. And by the way, there's conflicting information out there about the Blues payroll rankings. Puckpedia has them 10th in the NHL this season at $95.6 million. However, SpotRack, my go-to site for salary info, they have the Blues at 19th with a payroll of $93.4 million. Granted, it's not that much difference, but I'm just giving you the rankings. And according to SpotRack, since the 2021-2022 season, the Blues have ranked in order 18th, 26th, 21st, 17th, and 19th in payroll. That kind of goes against the comfortable and much repeated, the Blues are trying to win narrative. And I'm just that kind of guy that I don't like the obvious double standards here. I just don't. One of the reasons the Blues payroll went down for a while is because the team backed off for a while, as Doug Armstrong did a, quote, retooling of the roster. Okay, retooling is another way of saying rebuild, and the Cardinals are in a moderate rebuild, not a drastic rebuild. But if we're going to compare the two this way, again, I ask you, so when Armstrong retooled, the Blues lowered their payroll. They lowered it by quite a bit, according to SpotRack. But Chaim Bloom's doing the same thing now. You want to call it a rebuild, whatever. But why are the Cardinals ripped for lowering the payroll when the Cardinals are doing just what the Blues did when they were, quote, retooling? Once again, my friends, double standards. And what do the Blues have to show for if it's the accurate ranking? And I have no reason to doubt Puckpedia, but what do the Blues have to show for Puckpedia's number 10 payroll ranking? Right now, here's what they have to show for it. Only 2 NHL teams have a worse points percentage than St. Louis, which also just continues to allow goals per game in a rate that's just drastically bad. The Blues have a ton of problems. So what do they have to show for all that payroll money that they've spent? Now, listen, I've praised Doug Armstrong repeatedly for his overall track record as the Blues boss. I did the same before this season because I really liked what he did with the roster retool and some of his additions. I have no problem admitting that, because just because you like something or you expect them to be better and you think they've done the job to be better, it doesn't mean everything is going to turn out just fine. And by the way, I don't run the team. Army used too much of his payroll, as many of you have said correctly, on giving aging players long-term deals. And Army has made it difficult to offload veterans because he's handed out no trade clauses like they were bottles of cold water in a locker room. The Blues should be much better than they currently are. And if this roster is a clunker, then the responsibility goes on Doug Armstrong, period. St. Louis sports fans are right to question the Blues' heart and effort, and they're disgusted, rightfully so, by what they've witnessed. I've even seen some comments made by fans that, and this is where I get away from that. I get off that train, where fans are likening the Blues to the 2025 Cardinals as if the lack of effort for both of those teams are the same. And I would have to say that's garbage. The Cardinals' problem in 2025 was a lack of talent and direction. The season was set up to give younger players more playing time to get a better read on their future. It was a season set aside for auditions. And despite having so many roster holes, including thin starting pitching and a pretty severe power shortage, the Cardinals were 9th in the majors for most comeback wins in 2025. That team had plenty of heart and spirit. They just didn't have nearly enough talent. And it's important to understand the difference. I never had a problem with the Cardinals' effort other than, you're going to play some dull games here and there. But the Blues, on the other hand, have more than enough talent on this roster to be a postseason contender in 25-26. But as defenseman Justin Falk said the other night after a hideous loss to Vegas, he described the Blues players being on autopilot. What a damning indictment that is. The difference between the 25 Cardinals and these current Blues, one roster has the talent to succeed, but the moody Blues players, on too many nights, they don't give a damn. There's no urgency. There's no leadership. There is talent, however. The Cardinals had mediocre talent, but there was never anything wrong with the clubhouse culture, which was healthy in 2025. When I return for my second segment, I'm going to ask another question. If the Blues blow up the roster, well, who's in charge of the dynamite? And who's going to handle the post-dynamite cleanup? But first, an important message from DraftKings. Missouri, get ready. It's a big day today here on November the 17th. Starting today, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for the official launch date on the 1st of December. You can do that today. I would encourage you to do it today. Get ready because the wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, which is America's top-rated sportsbook app, will be open for wagering in Missouri less than 2 weeks from now. In fact, it's just 13 days from now as I record today's Bernie Show. So welcome DraftKings to Missouri, the show me the money state. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sports app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. And if you create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri, which you can do right now, you're going to be ready to go and make your plays when it's go time on December the 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day experience, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, a large variety of sports to choose from, an amazing number of ways to get involved in the action, and you can do it all right from your phone. And again, when DraftKings officially goes live on Missouri the first day of December, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions because it is safe, it is secure, and it has fast money withdrawals, among other reasons. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and create your DraftKings Sportsbook account right now in Missouri. You can do that. So you're ready to roll on December the 1st. And starting that first day of December, you'll receive $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live on that day, December the 1st. So let's do this. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expired 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. All right, welcome back to segment number 2 of the Bernie Show. And here's my question. If the Blues decide to blow up the roster and basically start over, then who makes that decision and who handles what comes after that decision? Do you trust Doug Armstrong to do that? Isn't he responsible for the same roster that may have to be blown up? And would Armstrong implode this roster and hand it off to Alexander Steen, his handpicked choice to take over as the general manager next season? And given Steen's lack of experience at the executive level, it's no offense to him, but, it's a pretty big job. Would he have the expertise to be the commander of something as important as a rebuild? I think it's a legitimate question. And again, no disrespect to Steen. Done a lot for the Blues. I think he's a smart guy, but he's never had to do something like this before. Could the Blues use a fresh vision, a fresh voice, fresh direction led by someone from outside the organization? If our Army hands off to Steen, isn't that just a de facto continuation of the Armstrong era? See, DeWitt waited too long in watching Mosaic make mistake after mistake after mistake. But at least when the time finally came to make a change, at least DeWitt chose someone from the outside to get another set of eyes on all of their problems and to lead the Cardinals into a new era. And Bloom has made a positive impression so far by modernizing the Cardinals' player development system and the farm system apparatus and hiring a bunch of really smart people that already have made this a smarter baseball operation from top to bottom. And he's still hiring people to bring the Cardinals up to speed in Major League Baseball. Bloom's mission is to lead the Cardinals out of a stagnant, mediocre recent past and into a better future. Couldn't we ask the same about the Blues leadership? If the Blues deem it necessary to start over, wouldn't they be taking a risk by leaving it up to Doug Armstrong and his protege, Alexander Steen? Again, I respect both men for what they've done for this franchise. But we're not talking about the past. We're talking about the future, right? And if Chairman Tom Stillman is going to play it safe by keeping the next retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, in the house, instead of looking around to see if there's someone out there better for the job, someone's going to have some new ideas, new way, new vision, just new period, to change a Blues hockey operation that's been doing things the same way over and over and over again for too long? You know what? No, I don't think Stillman to do that. I think he's going to stay in the family. Hey, at least Bill DeWitt broke from the past. Yeah, he waited too long. I'll say it a million times if you want me to. But at least he did break from the past, and he hired Bloom from the outside instead of promoting, for example, John Mozeliak assistant Michael Gerst to the top job. The Blues, I'm not sure what to believe. Maybe even more importantly, I don't know who I should believe in. One more thing before I go today. Here on the Bernie Show, I'm switching to Mizzou football for a moment because I want to revisit the Bernie Guarantee, which I do on my show every Friday. It's brought to you by our friends at St. Louis Hot Tub Warehouse. On Friday, my Bernie Guarantee was taking Mizzou as the money line favorite to defeat Mississippi State. I wasn't 100% sure if the Tigers would respond the way we wanted them to after being knocked out of playoff consideration. But here's what I settled on after doing a little research. The potent Missouri rushing attack would take care of business. I pointed out that Mississippi State defense ranked 65th among the 68 power teams at stopping the run, and Mizzou was the most productive yards per game rushing team at home among the 68 power teams. So I put my faith in Mizzou to slug it out, power it out, win it on the ground. That was the Bernie Guarantee, and led by Ahmad Hardy, Missouri stopped Mississippi State for 326 rushing yards for a 49-27 victory. I can give you another great scouting report as part of the Bernie Guarantee. My friends, when you buy a hot tub, you want value that lasts. And at St. Louis Hot Tub Warehouse, their low overhead means premium American-made products priced better than the competition and the best price guarantee in town. They're going to beat any local dealer on a comparable model. With over 38 years in business and 400 plus five-star reviews, you can trust they'll be there to service your spa long after the sale. Andrew and his team just do a fantastic job. St. Louis Hot Tub Warehouse, highest quality, best price. For more info, visit besthottubprices.com today. Thank you all for watching, and always a special thanks to DraftKings for presenting the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.